The steady hum of an airplane engine is a comforting sound, a constant reassurance. It's the sound of progress, of journeys beginning, of reunions on the horizon, until it abruptly stops. The silence that follows is deafening, a stark contrast to the familiar drone. That's precisely what happened on a frigid January day high above New York City. The city's iconic skyline, usually a symbol of dreams and ambition, became a backdrop for an unfolding crisis. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 was steadily climbing, gaining altitude after its departure. Then suddenly, a jarring thud reverberated through the aircraft, another, even more violent, and then, an unsettling silence filled the cabin. The engines had fallen quiet. Both engines were completely gone, leaving the aircraft without power. Imagine looking out your window, the world a patchwork of buildings and roads far below, and seeing the iconic George Washington Bridge looming below, the sprawling city rushing up to meet you at an alarming rate. Then, the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom, calm, but with an undercurrent of chilling urgency. Brace for impact. 3 words no passenger ever wants to hear. In the cockpit, Captain Sully Sullenberger and First Officer Jeffrey Skiles were confronted with a pilot's worst nightmare. They were now tasked with flying a powerless jet, essentially a giant glider, over the most densely populated city in America, Manhattan. Their instruments blared a cacophony of warnings, each light and sound signaling impending doom, a catastrophic double-engine failure. This was the rarest, most feared emergency scenario in all of aviation, the kind of situation pilots train for, but hope to never face. They had mere seconds, precious few moments, to make a decision that would determine the fate of everyone on board. No airport was close enough to reach safely. Only one desperate option remained, a gamble with unimaginable stakes. The icy waters of the Hudson River. For the passengers on board, those 2 minutes felt like an eternity, each second stretching into what seemed like an unbearable age. The flight attendants, bravely maintaining their composure, moved swiftly through the cabin, repeatedly chanting, "Heads down, stay down," as panic began to rise, threatening to overwhelm the confined space. People began to pray, desperately texted last messages to loved ones, and instinctively reached out to grab the hands of strangers. The world outside the windows blurred into a disorienting mix of water and the cold, hard steel of the city. You simply can't prepare for the surreal, terrifying feeling of a commercial airliner descending rapidly toward a river, instead of the reassuring sight of a runway. In that harrowing moment, everything superficial is stripped away. All pretense vanishes, leaving only raw, shared vulnerability, a collective understanding of the fragility of life. The pilot's years of rigorous training, their unwavering composure, and their split-second decisions would ultimately decide the fate of 155 souls on board. The entire city watched in stunned silence as the powerless jet, a silver bird with clipped wings, silently glided toward the unforgiving waters of the Hudson. The flight crew's calm, clear voices cut through the rising chaos, methodically guiding passengers to brace themselves for the inevitable impact. The surface of the Hudson loomed ever closer, its cold, dark waters promising a brutal and unforgiving reception. The next few seconds, suspended in time, would become etched in history as one of aviation's most remarkable and improbable stories. The moment of impact was violent, a jarring collision between metal and water. But miraculously, against all odds, the plane stayed largely intact, defying expectations. The emergency doors were quickly opened, and the evacuation slides inflated with a whoosh. Passengers, stunned but alive, scrambled out of the aircraft and onto the wings, seeking refuge from the frigid water. Ferries and rescue boats immediately rushed to the scene, racing against time to help those stranded in the icy river. They were witnessing the impossible, a scene that defied logic and expectations. A commercial jet, improbably floating on the surface of the Hudson River. In just 2 minutes, a potential disaster had been averted, a testament to extraordinary skill, rigorous training, and unwavering calm under immense pressure. The world would soon come to know it as the Miracle on the Hudson, a story of hope and resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. What brought down Flight 1549 on that fateful day? What series of events led to this extraordinary situation? It wasn't a mechanical failure, a design flaw, or pilot error, but rather, a startling encounter with a flock of Canada geese. A simple yet devastating collision. It's almost absurd to think about. A multi-million-dollar jet, a marvel of engineering, brought to its knees, crippled by a flock of birds. A true David and Goliath story, but in the skies. But the reality is that jet engines, as powerful as they are, aren't built to withstand the impact of swallowing large solid objects, especially at high speed. They are designed for air and fuel, not feathered projectiles. The force of the impact from the birds shattered the delicate internal components of the engines, causing catastrophic damage. This resulted in a complete loss of thrust, leaving the plane powerless and at the mercy of gravity. The cockpit filled with alarms, a stark reminder of the dire situation. In that critical moment, Sully and Skiles transformed into glider pilots, relying on their years of experience and training. They had to rely solely on their training, their instincts, and their ability to remain calm under immense pressure. Every single move mattered. Each adjustment, each decision was crucial to the survival of everyone on board. If they descended too fast, the structural integrity of the plane would be compromised, and it would break apart in the air. But if they flew too slow, the plane would lose lift and stall, plummeting uncontrollably. With limited options, they made the daring decision to aim for a clear stretch of the Hudson River, a gamble with incredibly high stakes. They meticulously configured the plane, extending the flaps to their maximum setting, in order to generate the greatest possible lift at the slowest possible speed. Inside the cabin, the flight crew bravely prepared the passengers for a water landing, a maneuver considered to be one of the most dangerous in all of aviation. With calm and reassuring voices, they pointed out the emergency exits, reminded passengers to leave their belongings behind, and meticulously readied the evacuation slides, preparing for the inevitable impact. The moment the plane hit the surface of the water, it was a jarring, violent impact that reverberated throughout the entire aircraft. Frigid water surged into the cabin with tremendous force, but miraculously the fuselage held, preventing the plane from immediately breaking apart. Sully's expert piloting and precise landing kept the wings level, a critical factor in the plane's survival. This allowed the plane to skip across the surface of the water, rather than nosediving into the depths. Passengers quickly and orderly evacuated onto the wings, shivering in the freezing temperatures but alive. Ferries and emergency boats raced against time to reach the scene, their sirens piercing the air. The miracle on the Hudson wasn't just about the incredible landing itself. It was a testament to the flawless teamwork displayed by everyone on board, from the pilots to the flight attendants to the passengers themselves. Every single second, every single action, every single decision contributed to making survival against all odds possible. Not all landings are routine. Some present unique challenges that demand skill and precision. Crosswind landings test pilots daily. They require constant vigilance and a deep understanding of aerodynamics. Planes usually land into the wind, providing the most stable approach. But sometimes wind blows across the runway, creating a hazardous situation. Pilots crab the plane, angling the nose into the wind, a technique used to maintain the desired flight path. Then, straighten out at the last second, aligning the aircraft with the runway centerline just before touchdown. In a storm at Dusseldorf, the elements combined to create a particularly dangerous scenario. A Bombardier Dash 8 faced violent gusts, pushing the aircraft around like a toy in the wind. Passengers gripped armrests as the plane lurched and tilted, their knuckles white with anxiety. The runway seemed to shift sideways, a disorienting illusion caused by the extreme crosswind. As the plane approached at a wild angle, it was clear that this landing would be anything but ordinary. Just feet from the ground, a gust slammed the plane, an unexpected jolt that threatened to send the aircraft careening off course. Dropping the left wingtip onto the runway, a sickening scrape that sent shivers down the spines of those watching. Sparks flew. For a moment, disaster seemed certain, the culmination of a series of unfortunate events. But the pilot reacted instantly, full power, aborting the landing, a split-second decision that saved the day. The plane climbed away, circled, and landed safely on the second try, a testament to the pilot's skill and composure. The incident, caught on video, became a textbook example of skill under pressure, a valuable lesson for aspiring pilots. Training made the difference, providing the knowledge and reflexes necessary to overcome such a dangerous situation. Between catastrophe and a safe landing, a razor-thin margin determined by expertise and quick thinking. Crosswind landings are routine, until they're not, a reminder that even the most practiced procedures can become perilous in an instant. In those moments, pilots' instincts and training are all that stand between safety and disaster, the final line of defense against the unpredictable forces of nature. Every safe landing is a quiet triumph, A victory over the elements and a testament to human skill. Sometimes it's a miracle, a combination of skill, luck, and perhaps a little bit of divine intervention. We trust Autopilot to keep us safe, but what if it fails? Air France Flight 447 2009, flying at night over the Atlantic, ice crystals blocked sensors, confusing the autopilot. Suddenly, control was handed back to the pilots, alarms blaring, no reliable airspeed. In the chaos, a co-pilot pulled the nose up, stalling the plane. The aircraft pancaked toward the ocean, falling thousands of feet per minute. The stall warning blared, then fell silent, adding to the confusion. For over 4 minutes the plane fell, a tragedy born from a cascade of human and technological failures. Even the best technology needs well-trained humans to back it up. Takeoff is one of the most critical moments in flight. Pilots calculate a V1 speed. Before it, they can abort. After, they must take off. British Airways Flight 2276 in Las Vegas. Just before V1, a loud bang, violent yaw, and alarms. The captain, just below V1, shouted, "Stop!" and slammed on the brakes. Deploying speed brakes and thrust reversers, the plane screeched to a halt. Tires burst, brakes glowed red, but the aircraft stopped safely. Passengers saw the left engine engulfed in flames. The crew initiated an immediate evacuation, slides deployed, and everyone escaped. Even on the ground, emergencies demand split-second decisions and flawless teamwork. The difference between disaster and survival is training and composure. Every takeoff is a test of preparation. When things go wrong, there's no time to hesitate. The crew's actions saved lives. How do pilots stay calm in chaos? Training, endless, realistic, and intense. The heart of that training, the full flight simulator. These machines replicate every switch, alarm, and scenario a pilot might face. Instructors can simulate engine failures, fires, or total electrical loss. Pilots practice emergencies until their responses are automatic. It's not just technical skill, it's crew resource management, clear communication, teamwork, and cross-checking. The simulator lets pilots experience disasters safely, building muscle memory. They practice ditching in water, landing with no engines, or handling jammed controls. When real emergencies happen, pilots have already lived them in the simulator. Training turns panic into procedure. It's why pilots sound calm, even when everything is going wrong. The simulator is where heroes are made. It's the difference between chaos and control. Pilots may fly the plane, but flight attendants save lives in emergencies. They're not just serving drinks. They're first responders at 35,000 feet. Their training is relentless. Evacuations, fires, medical crises, unruly passengers. They practice shouting over panic, herding people to exits, deploying slides in seconds. Calm under pressure is their greatest tool. In the Vegas fire, the cabin crew kept order, shouted commands, and pushed passengers to safety. On the Hudson, they managed a water landing and evacuation onto the wings. Their leadership turns chaos into survival. The human element is irreplaceable. Flight attendants are the unsung heroes of every flight. After every incident, the investigation begins. The NTSB and other agencies are aviation's detectives, focused on finding causes, not blame. Their tools, the black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder. These reveal what happened in the cockpit and to the plane's systems. Investigators analyze wreckage, interview crews, and study weather, maintenance, and training records. Every detail matters. The smallest clue can reveal the root cause. Their work leads to safety recommendations that change aviation forever. Air France 447 led to better sensors and training. The Hudson landing improved life vest standards and engine testing. Every incident becomes a lesson, written into regulations and drilled into crews. The system learns from every failure. That's why flying keeps getting safer. After all these stories, here's the truth. Commercial air travel is the safest way to travel. It's not luck, it's relentless learning from every failure and near miss. The industry studies mistakes, fixes them, and builds layers of safety. The most important layer is always human-skilled pilots, quick-thinking crew, and tireless investigators. Every checklist, every procedure, every design is shaped by lessons from the past. Aviation's safety culture is unmatched, reporting, cross-checking, and constant improvement. So next time you fly and feel a bump or turbulence, remember, the people on board have trained for this. They're part of a global system dedicated to your safety. Failures are rare, but learning from them makes flight a daily miracle. That's why we can fly with confidence, because every lesson is written in.